funny friends, my funny friends, my funny friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funny friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Oh, hey guys, we are back for another episode of My Funny Friends. I am one half of your co-hosting duo, Drew Harrison, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Mr. Will Abeles. Will, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Drew. I'm doing good. I think I'm better than
Good.
the last time. I feel better than the last episode. Last episode, I was still pretty tired from the
That's
recording
good.
and all
You,
that.
you rested up.
I felt a little bit. I went out on Broadway last night.
Oh God, why did you do that?
I, my girlfriend and I so we were gonna go see a friend play. He's a drummer and he was like playing, so we were gonna go see him at Acme, which is like of all the Broadway bars, that one's like pretty low key.
Okay.
But like right before we left, like my girlfriend was like, "Should we just like do Broadway?" And I was like, "What? You never want to do anything like this." And so we did Broadway. We hit three
Did
bars before we went to
Broadway.
Acme. Yeah,
Oh wow.
just one drink at each, and then went straight to. But it was pretty fun. But yes, I am well rested. That
I
did
mean,
help
in
with the
small
resting.
doses, Broadway can be a good time, you know?
Yeah, well, and it was Easter Sunday, so for what Broadway can be,
Oh,
it was
okay.
actually
Yeah.
fairly empty, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, nice. Look at that.
Little
Look at
live
that.
music.
Look at that. You did Broadway. Have you done, how many times have you, like, did you go to Broadway a lot when you first moved here?
Not at all. No, because it
No.
was still heavily COVID, and
Ah,
even though the city didn't care,
Yeah,
I
I was about
cared.
to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
What is this COVID you're talking about?
this thing.
It's 2023. We ain't talking about that no
I don't even know. I don't even know it. I think I just made that word up.
more. Yeah.
Well, Drew,
Uh,
guess what we're talking about this week?
Okay, what you got for us?
What if I just? That's how we're just gonna do it. Just blunt.
A topic now.
Well, so in the last at this point in the last year and couple months, you have recorded and released a special.
See.
I have recorded and am planning on releasing a special. A ton of our former guests have recorded and released a special. There has been a lot of interesting things happening in the world of comedy when it comes to specials.
Yeah.
Most recently, what comes to mind would be Chris Rock's live special.
That, yeah. One first of its kind.
And I will get more to it later, but is it Matt Rife?
Yes.
I'm very interested in what he's been doing in terms of the special. So I think we're going to go down a fun little memory lane of the, I don't know about the history of specials,
Yeah, I was like, I don't know enough to talk
but
about
kind
the
of
history
what,
stuff.
yeah, I guess more so like what I want to go back and just like kind of talk about the evolution of specials a little bit. And before we go into it, disclaimer, these are just our observations. These are just our opinions. In no way are we connoisseurs of the comedy special. There are people out there that do watch every single comedy special out there, and they will probably, if they did listen, they would be like, "That's not what's happening." And you're like, "All right, well, put a comment just so someone pays attention." But it's just kind of what I've observed as a comedian who's been doing it for a long time, having done the road and also New York, and just, I guess, the change in perception of the common comedy viewer. That's what I want to focus on.
Okay. Yeah. In case y'all didn't pick up what he was saying, we don't know what we're talking about. We just gonna talk about
This is what we see.
it. Yeah.
We're
But no,
basically we're just two politicians
No, don't put that category on me.
just
No,
seeing
thank
what
you.
we want to see.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, I guess
Although
okay.
I thought about it every now and then. Would you ever want to run for a politician?
Oh, I wait. No, there's no way I could do that.
Just because
I
your
would.
history would come back, or people would like
No,
what?
I think
You just don't want
I
to
would
go
have
through it?
like. I think I would be like. I think I would be good at it, to be completely honest, and I think I would be very likable. But I think I would have like
to one particular side.
Yeah.
I could think of one side that would hate your guts if you.
There is one side that would probably hate my guts. No, I think I would be okay at it. I just think I would have one bad day, and that one bad day would shut it down pretty
Well,
quick.
that's the thing is I think I'd be good at it, but I think it would just wear me down. Like I think
Yeah,
I would get in and realize, oh yeah, I can't really make a choice or make a change. So what's the point?
you have to do a lot of long walks. You'd be walking more than you'd be politicking.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Where's Drew at? He's on another walk. Why? He needs to relieve his stress.
Like he can't take y'all no more.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would do like no, I don't want to even do local no, I have no desire to do that. Either make me president or nothing. I don't want to have any. I
President
don't,
or
yeah,
bust.
yeah, I just want to know all the secrets. That's about it.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think I even want to know everything.
So Drew, what would you to get into it? What do you remember the first comedy special you saw?
Yes, it was one of Ralphie May's comedy
Oh,
specials.
interesting. For me, it's a little blurry in that like that era of time because I wasn't a comedian. It was just like a thing happening, like I was like in high school, right? But I feel like I want to say it had to have been probably Dane Cook.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I want to say it was Dane Cook, but I also have a very vivid memory of seeing Titus
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
yeah,
watching like his special and being like, this guy is dark.
yeah.
So I want to say it might have been Titus. I mean, obviously, I've talked about this before. The very first I had was the Johnny Carson clips, but those weren't really specials. Those were just like your breakthroughs.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
th-
think I want to say it's Titus.
yeah, I think it was something with Girth of a Nation. It's like 2005, 2006, 2006 probably.
Girth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's what got and I watched I have to say a special that was influential on me early on. And I used to be like weird, like I don't want to admit that, but I don't. That they're all. I think they're all. You might not like their comedy, but they're all. You got to respect what they did in the game. But it's the blue collar comedy tour,
Oh
and
God, you know what? I bet that was probably one of my first two.
yeah, because I watched it with my grandparents because it was good old clean fun, and it's
Yeah.
something we both could agree on. And then I made the mistake of getting Ron White's special, which I loved, but what tried to watch it with my grandparents, and
'Cause he was the
it
edgy
was a
one in that group.
different. He
Yeah.
was a different comedian when he didn't have the blue collar name on
Yeah.
his stuff.
My I used to watch that with my parents, and my dad's absolute favorite was Bill Engvall
Yeah,
because
my
I
mom
think,
loves that. Here's your sign. God, she
yeah.
loves it so much.
Oh, here's your sign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one. That was an early one.
yeah,
I think the first. So I guess if I'm thinking back, there's a comic in Worcester. I call him my fairy godfather of comedy. But I had done comedy like twice in college, and then he and I worked together at a summer camp. And his name's Sean Connolly. What's up, Sean?
yeah.
Yeah, great comic, very funny man. Love him to death, and he is actually the reason that I am everyone's problem. But he was the first one that like would show me because I think at that point it was probably like I watched Dane Cook and that was about it because it was like 2008 2009 and he was the first one to be like, hey, you want to see comics that are like good? And I was like, what's that mean? Dane Cook's so good. And he was like, no, let me show you the comedians of comedy. And then he made me watch that, which was like Patton Oswalt and those guys, and Zach Galifianakis was on it. And that was the first time I was like, what? There's a lot of comedy out there,
Yeah.
you know?
Because I mean, I started off listening to it because I had a
Right.
job.
Because, yeah,
I always listen to albums. So like when Comedy Central started getting real special heavy in the late 2000s to early 2010s, that's when
yeah.
I really caught up to like, oh, there's a filming aspect of this. This is awesome. Like the different, like I really started studying like the cuts and like the how they film things and I
Yeah.
remember watching Ralphie May's Ostentatious where he's wearing the big orange suit. I'm like, you got to think about what you wear on stage, you know?
Yeah.
So like it was really fun, and then I started getting into the Comedy Central half hours, and I remember
Okay.
what because they go back even more. Like I remember
Yeah.
rewatching one that was Jim Gaffigan, and it was like 2001, and he had like a suit on, he had glasses. It was crazy.
That's so different. See, that's so the basically the HBO specials was sort of before my time, I want to say. Like,
Yeah, but they've been very fun. Like I've rewatched,
oh yeah.
Carlins and stuff, like but yeah, but like my mom didn't even let us have HBO in the house
Yeah,
growing up.
because HBO was premium, right? I mean, it
Yeah,
really like now you can get anything anywhere. And that's sort of I guess what's happening is like I feel like what is a special anymore? You
right.
know, like
There's so
it,
many different definitions of it now.
and I
Different
think
links.
yeah, and I think kind of if you want to still value it, the special is something it's special to you more so than it's like what it used to be as like this is a comedy special. You know, this is more
Yeah.
just like no, this is my 10 years of work or my 5 years of work or for some comics 2 years of work or whatever it is, you know. But with the Comedy Central half hours, that was actually how I tapped into the New York scene. When I like, cause I took like, that year and a half off and I was getting back into it. And that was like, so the show I was running at the time, I would give some of these guys a half hour if they were working on their half hour for that taping. And so it was really cool to see them work that out. But then they also had an hour long album to complement it, which was such a cool idea. And I kind of wish somebody was doing that again. Of
Yeah.
doing that half hour special, getting it all because I don't even know. I don't even know if Comedy Central's still doing a half hour.
What they do half hours like last time they did it was pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah, and then they were starting to switch to Clusterfest was becoming their thing, and they were starting to do like a lot of like mini
Well, yeah, they
clips.
started doing a lot of online content, like the
Yeah.
comedycentral.com stuff. But I mean, you have a TV network. Like
Oh,
some of us still have Comedy Central.
yeah. But well, so okay, so this is what was interesting is this is around that time that I think things started turning in that like Roy Wood Jr. and Mark Norman had Comedy Central specials, and they were if you didn't see them live, they were like impossible to watch because Comedy Central was always beefing with whatever not internet company, cable company. And so like they would be blacked out all over the place. So you had to like buy a special thing on comedycentral.com or whatever it was. And so I feel like around that time Netflix was sort of like paying attention and was like, "Wait, they used to do like 7-minute clips and 15-minute clips and
Yeah.
half hours and hours? Like we should try this out." I loved when they were doing four comics doing 15 minutes
Yeah.
and it looked like they were finally doing like a kind of like a club idea of like host move up to
Showcase.
feature move up to headliner, yeah,
Yeah.
showcase, whatever, right. And I feel like what was so cool about that with Netflix is I if I feel like Nate Bargatze probably benefited from that more than anybody, in that it showed someone who would never get a chance to go to New York or Nashville or LA or wherever he was at the time, and they had that opportunity to finally see a comic like him or a Dan Soder or whoever it was.
Yeah. And Kyle Kinane benefited from that
And Kyle Kinane,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like so now you just had your common whatever guy that's like, oh, I thought comedy was only on HBO. And I've never
Yeah.
had HBO. And I thought that was so cool at the beginning how it was exposing comedy and so many different types of comedy to everybody all at once. And then it got out of hand.
Well, Netflix even admitted that got out of hand. They were handing everyone specials.
Yeah.
Not everyone,
I
obviously.
mean, I feel like when Seinfeld came back, that was when it was like we're losing control of this thing. Because
What do you mean?
well, like they gave Seinfeld like 40 million, right?
Yeah.
And the special was good. It was cool watching him again, but it wasn't like it changed my life, you
Right.
know? And I feel like when certain people at a certain level saw how much money that Netflix was willing to pay, that was when it kind of got out of hand, you
Gotcha.
know?
Yeah.
Like they sort of lost the plot. Like I'd rather have them focused on like Josh Johnson doing 15 minutes, then doing a half hour, then doing his full hour and watching that, kind of like with Nate doing the half hour, then the hour. Like that was, I thought that was masterclass in the way they did that.
With Bargatze,
Yeah.
but didn't I thought his half hour was Comedy Central. I thought he
He
moved to
he also had a
Netflix
half hour on Comedy Central, but he did the
because I
stand-ups.
thought it was weird how Comedy Central. I was talking to someone and they said that his when Comedy Central debuted his Full Time Magic, it was on like a Saturday at like 9 at like 10 o'clock at night. like
Oh
up
yeah.
against something else going on. So like what I think is my favorite hour of Nate Bargatze is that full time magic. So what I
Oh, okay.
think his best hour, a lot of people I don't know if they've even seen it.
We're exposed to it. Yeah. Well, that's what the guys that I knew that would do the half hours on Comedy Central is like. They would be like, "Hey, if you're up at 3 a.m. on
Yeah.
Tuesday, they're airing my special again."
Yeah.
And they would do these like random festivals, like these random like marathons essentially, and they would just run the half hours the whole way through. And so I would see like Casey James Salengo be like, "Hey, 2 a.m. Your boy Casey's getting to see his half hour again."
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's a good because I remember my roommates and I in 2011, 2012, I forget which year specifically, but Gary Goldman had In This Economy, which in my opinion is still like a top 10 special. Like I think it's so good. I've watched it a million times. And I know I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of his,
I'll say
but
I don't share the same love for Goldman's stand up as you do,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. But that special was just so good. And we stayed in and watched it before going to the bars that night in New York because we knew we wouldn't be able to see it again if we didn't, you know.
Yeah.
And then I think it aired again like the next night or like right after or something, and we like watched the whole thing again because we were just like, "Oh, that was so good, that was amazing."
Yeah.
And then we went and saw him live, and he's still doing like some of that material because he's transitioning into the next stuff. And I remember that threw all of us off because I was still new enough in comedy that I was like, "Wait, he can't just," because like that was also that era of Louis firing out an hour every like 9 months, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, he had the Carlin school of thought is you should be putting out when you're at the top of your game, you should be putting out an hour every year.
Yeah. And so I remember like we saw him live and we were like, what? There's still some of the old jokes. And then he came back and did an encore and he was like, "You guys got any requests?" And someone was like, "Do the grapefruit joke." And like, I just love a joke being so popular
You can,
that it's still
yeah.
funny. It's like
Yeah.
still funny, even though you know every single like, punchline
Yeah.
set up and
Because I
everything
mean,
like
you
that.
got the curse of comedy is you go to concerts to hear music
Yeah, right.
and then you go to
Comedy rock.
comedy shows to be like, I heard that. Come on.
You gotta blow my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, so okay, so that's a good point. Like, I think one huge difference, obviously, between the taping we did for you and my taping is you did have friends and family there,
Yes.
but you had a 200 seater that sold
Yeah.
out
Yeah, that was awesome.
in
Like
Wilmington. Yeah.
when Amy, the general manager, came up to me
Just
and told
walk
me
away.
it sold out. Oh my god, dude! I'm
Started
holding
crying.
holding the boom mic. I'm just crying because I was holding the boom mic for my own intro to the special that I didn't even use because
They
it
didn't make
was
it. They didn't
terrible.
even
It
make
was
it.
so bad. I looked
Awful.
at it. I watched it so many times. It was so bad.
But, well, because none of us were focused. No one knew what to do. And also, it was like a weird group of like, no one knew each other. They just knew
Yeah,
you. So we didn't
yeah,
know what to do. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But that was something like, so that was something I was worried about going into mine is I really didn't want, because I knew it was going to be a much smaller room.
yeah,
Like the 5 spot in theory can fit 200 people, but that means if we include the back patio that holds
yeah,
about 70 of them, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And so I was very happy that like technically we did sell out. It just was like one of those things where I was nervous to do it in front of too many comics in town, that kind of thing. It's like because
yeah,
it is familiar material, you know. And so
yeah.
that was one thing that was so great about Wilmington is like a lot of people hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, and it was awesome too because I had some people that had followed me from the get go. Like I
Mhm.
had some people that came up to me after the show and was like, "I have been coming to Nut Street and Dead Crow since 2012, and it's just nice to see what you've evolved in." Because I think that's what's so nice about your first special
Yeah.
is it's usually like what you've done for the whole first part of your career. Well,
Yeah.
it is what you've done for the whole first part, and then you start turning into, well, I just got to churn these things out.
Yeah.
which is nice because talking about the future of specials is I feel like it's a whole different ballgame. So I don't
Yeah.
think people are going to be churning them out per se as much as they used to. Like I don't think maybe we might see it with like a handful of comedians, but I
Mhm.
don't think we live in the days of putting out a special a year now.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately what we're seeing happen, and there are pockets, and I do think things are shifting, but having an hour of very good comedy, start to finish, put on your YouTube to some people, not like everyone. Like if you're at a certain, if Kyle Kinane puts out a perfect hour, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But like say I put out perfect hour, there is still more valuable to a lot of the industry, a TikTok crowd work going viral, and just butts in seats to see that person maybe do another viral hit without having
Yeah.
any,
Well, that's
and
what I'm
so
saying is like, are you
yeah,
even worried about a special now
right,
to get numbers on YouTube? Like, I guess if if you've monetized YouTube,
sure,
it
that's your bread and
it's
butter. Yeah,
it's fantastic because you can get a lot of views. Like, but I think it's like you said, it's they care more about the numbers of followers. So I think you cut up the clips now. Like that's the main goal: is what clips do I have? What
yeah.
content am I putting out there? And I can say firsthand, and it might not be for everyone, but at least for me, I've noticed that that might even be going away.
Well, and that's the thing is, I agree with you. Yeah, and I think a little bit of that is so sort of going back to my point about, I was talking about Nate having a half hour on Netflix and an hour, and exposed him to like a massive audience, and they're huge fans. Those fans are now educated in comedy. Like those fans are now like, sure, there are people that love crowd work. They that's what they want, and I get that. But I think some of the fans, like, so the more I do the road, people are interested to see a new comic do 40 minutes and go, oh, that's thought out. That was cool. Like, you didn't talk to me. I can trust that you're not going to
Yeah,
talk to me. But I do think like that's going away because I'm watching certain people that were crushing with crowd work, whatever it was. Like, every clip was like 100,000 plus views.
yeah.
They're
Well, I'm
just fun.
thinking even just the clips. Like I think we're
Yeah,
now in that weird process where now someone's got to find the next thing. Like, what's the
yeah,
next thing that's going to be the big thing? Because I feel like these clips, these caption clips, are still going to be useful, but
sure.
now Facebook's not paying as much.
Yep.
Instagram's not paying as much. TikTok never paid that much.
Yeah,
You can get
yeah.
a pretty good amount of followers per video if it does well on YouTube. Like YouTube did really well with the shorts, but the rest of the social media that you cut these clips up for, especially we're hinging on the fact of what happens if TikTok does get banned, because
Yeah,
then Facebook and Instagram know they got you, so now they
right,
don't have to do they don't even have to promote your videos if they don't want to.
right,
They're
right.
the only game in town.
Well, I guess then the next logical step, and this is a comedy thing, right? Where it gets too big, the bubble bursts, and we start from scratch, and a hero named Dane Cook rises out of the
No,
ashes
no.
and starts the whole thing up again. But I think so. It almost sounds like the next logical step is like showcases are back, you know, and then we see like like remember John
Well,
Oliver used to have a showcase show on Comedy
yeah,
Central.
and talking about, it's not a special, but it's an album. Helium is real big on that. They'll
Yeah,
get a lot of comics from a town and do like a best of. They
yeah,
do a
they
lot
love
of the
doing that.
Raleighs. I think they do St. Louis. Is it
They've
Philadelphia?
done Philly. They've done Philly
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah, and like stuff like that. And that all kind of but that's already still happening. So I guess what happens is it just gets a second chance. And I am noticing on YouTube, not my YouTube, but I have been like researching YouTube pages. Like I looked at yours, I looked at a couple other people. Like Drew Lynch, I looked at his, and it's interesting to see, because Drew Lynch just has a ton of followers, or subscribers. And what I'm seeing is like, uh, yes, there's the shorts, and yes, there's the TikTok over in its world, but now like putting a full like 4.5 minute bit is becoming kind of a thing.
Mm.
So it's like the full joke is now
So
sitting on YouTube.
so the little the 3-4 minute clips are coming back, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Are
So
they
it's like
captioned?
they are captioned.
Okay, God, that's just
They
more editing. All right.
They are captioned, but I feel like captioning for YouTube is a little bit easier because it's just no one cares as much. It's just kind of sitting at the bottom.
Yeah,
Um,
but you still got to make it look nice.
so gotta make it look nice. And
I'd
of
drive
course, there's
myself crazy not looking nice.
yeah, but I also see like full crowd work clips, so like 4 or 5 minutes where it's just like, and then this, and it's like those are still.
I mean, people
Uh,
are there's always going to be an audience for crowd work.
yeah, I
Always.
know, I
Because it
know,
attract like even if just people that don't care about comedy at all scrolling through see somebody getting yelled at by an audience member and then
I know.
retaliating, people are going to watch it. And I mean, I hate it. It makes me feel nervous, and I still catch myself watching it sometimes. Where just to be like, how did they handle this?
And there's interesting moments to it too. And there's
I got this weekend I was in Chattanooga and I was doing a bit, and in the middle of it, this lady in the audience just yells out, "Eat a salad,"
to you.
to me.
Wow.
And I mean, I know I'm a bigger dude, but it was a show full of big dudes, and I was the skinniest by far. And so she yelled out, "Eat a salad," to me and said it like I was upsetting her with what I was saying on stage. Like she was like, "Eat a salad."
Oh, okay.
But luckily, no one in the audience went with her. Like she said it, and I was like, "Did you just tell me to eat a salad?" And everyone just like, "Oh," like not to be like she got you, but to be like, "Get her." But it was a rowdy crowd already, so I was like, "I'm not
Yeah.
going too hard." I was like, "I do eat salads. It just has a lot of cheese and salad dressing and ham."
The
So
burger on top of it.
I handled
A
it my
bun.
way, Yeah. So I didn't turn anybody because I could hear they
Yeah.
wanted to talk. Like I think if I went at her, I would have lost different like parts
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
crowd.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not. The
Especially in a
show's
club like
going
that. Yeah.
well. I'm trying to tape this. I'm not. Again, to come back to it, that ever chasing the dragon of the perfect tape always.
Yeah.
So it was going real well, and it was right dead in the middle. And it just I had another this is just like the heckling part of it, and I don't get a lot of hecklers. I don't have to
Yeah. And
deal
I
with
don't
them a
either for
lot.
some reason. Yeah.
But last a few weekends ago I was in Wilmington trying to get another tape, and I walk on stage and there's this lady that had been there all day drinking, and the bartender and me were just two big dudes with beards. So I walk on stage and she just assumes I'm the bartender.
Did she ask you a drink?
No, she just yells out my name, but it wasn't my name. So I was like, I was like, well, there goes that tape. So it's just crazy, man. Because no matter what this evolves into, no matter
Right.
what the next step is, content is always going to be king.
Right.
So
Whether
it's
that's
just
an hour or it's 30
yeah,
seconds. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. I guess my hot take on crowd work, you can print this and it makes sense because it is this in its core. Is it's like the way I've always described improv is if you see bad improv, it's the worst live performance you've ever seen in your entire life.
yeah,
It's uncomfortable. No one's happy. They're not happy. You're not happy. It's miserable to be around. But good improv is one of the best live performances you can see. And
yeah,
crowd work is improv,
yeah, yeah.
So when the guys are just on it and the audience is somehow not being like, I don't really like the whole aggressive, like, let's try and fight, let's take this outside kind of. Like
Yeah.
when it gets to that point, you're like, what are we doing here? This is like we're supposed to be having a good time. Now
Yeah.
everyone's uncomfortable.
Right. Like when someone can pull off great crowd work and toe that line of getting some really good zingers in, but no one's getting mad at you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I respect it because it's not something I can do.
Yeah, like I told you this before we started recording is so we had Stone Cold Sober on Friday and there were three dudes and it's a show where you're supposed to get drunk. I mean people sit there and they get pretty drunk. It's Friday night, it's a later show, and these three dudes were clearly like not like in like completely intoxicated, but they were on their way to having a good Friday night. And I was just like going at them, not like, I said like, it's like these three guys and the rest of our audience is mostly women. And I just kept making fun of them and and they were into it and they were fine. And they were like, I'd make fun of them and they would kind of be
did you say
like,
they were bros?
they were pretty broy. Yeah.
I mean, you're
that's,
the bro whisperer, so I get
I know. But I even got to the point where I was like, so what I was doing is like, that I hate bringing the comics back on stage to have the vote.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So for anyone that doesn't know, the way our show works is it's two teams of three and each goes head to head. Right. And so we have to bring them back on. And that's my least favorite part is that the audience gets to vote because it's just like, it's hard to tell. Right. So what I did, because you guys, for some reason, let me run this on my own on Friday, trusted me to do it. And it went fantastic. But I brought up two audience members to represent each person.
Oh, okay.
And so the first was like this older couple, not older, they were like in their like probably like 50s. And the woman, I didn't tell you this, the woman flashed the audience. Like she still had her like shirt on underneath.
Mm.
But she did that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Organized chaos.
But the
Hey, come on down to Stone Cold Sober first Fridays of every month at 9 p.m. at Third Coast Comedy Club here in Nashville.
So the funny part is the woman did that and she was representing Ryan and the other guy was representing Zach and Zach still won. I was like, oh man, the guys in the green room have to just be roasting him. But anyway, I was like bringing these people on and I looked at the three of them after the set and I was like, look, I can promise you none of you are coming on this stage because it doesn't matter how good the comic does, people would still boo you. And the guy was like, that's true, we would not win. I was like, they were fun. They got it. They were like, yeah, we're not the most popular guys in this room. We can feel it. We can tell.
And then y'all were taking shots of Goldschlager after the show. It's great.
Someone did buy me a shot, actually. Some guy came up and was like, comedy rules, man. You rule. Let me get you a shot. All right. Thanks, man.
I don't know, man, because these interactions with crowds are getting weirder and weirder. The headliner that I worked with this weekend, Andy Forster out of Raleigh, fantastic comedian, even better human being, just all around amazing person. He said he went to the bathroom in between shows and there's this dude at the urinal. It was like they like made eye contact to where they had to be like, hey man, how you doing? And the guy was like, I'd be doing a lot better if I had all the money in the world.
Like but that's such a
well, and he's like, of course, man, everyone would. He's like,
who wouldn't
you here at the dance club or you coming to the comedy show? And he just went, yep.
Both. I think that meant both.
Yeah. So
that's so perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I don't.
What's your weirdest interaction with an audience member? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, because mine, like you kind of hit the nail on the head. I get a lot of bro whisperers, so I do get a lot of guys come up. I also get a lot of couples come up to me and they talk to me afterwards because I do talk about being in relationships a lot. My weirdest interaction, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's my weirdest interaction, but because like I'm getting back out there, but in like 2019 and the beginning part of 2020 before everything shut down, I was like really hitting the road hard. Like I was everywhere. And the one question I would get that used to kind of annoy me, and it happened in like kind of remote places, like in deep Texas and stuff like that. People would be like, what do you think about Kramer saying the N-word? And I'd be like, what?
Why do you get asked that?
And like,
do you have an N-word joke? Well,
no, I don't. But I am like, I am fairly clean. I mean, like I curse, but I'm not vulgar. You know what I mean? And so I'm wondering if and like it was also 2019, so it was like people were like starting to backlash.
Have real worries.
Yeah. But I would always get stuff like that where like I would know like that would be the reverse side of the bros that I talk to. Is like some of them will be like, why do you think like Louis can't say this? Or why do you think? And I'm like,
yeah.
And like we've said this,
like we can say this to this white guy.
Yeah. And like we've talked about this in the podcast plenty of times. It's like, look, if you want to say whatever you want on stage, go ahead and do it. Just remember, there's consequences to your actions.
Yes.
There's people that you're hurting,
Yes.
and it's like you're here to, I don't know, whatever. Not to go down that, but that's like, so not the weirdest question I get, but I do get that more often than I'd like. Is people are just like, let's ask this white guy this thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I care, but I don't care. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I'm not thinking about Kramer. I'm like, yeah, he said this thing and he got in trouble. That makes sense. That happens all the time,
All the time.
as it should, as it should. It's like, God, yeah. So I don't know. What's the weirdest? What's the weirdest thing you've ever gotten asked?
No, I mean it's just I used to do a Jehovah's Witness joke, and I had a Jehovah's Witness come give me his card, and like sincerely being like, "I'd love to talk sometime." Like,
Hmm.
no, thank you.
I
But
wonder,
that's about it.
like, talk like just to be like, hey, I want to explain this more to you, or be
I
like, oh, I
think
can
so.
convert them.
I'm
Oh, okay.
probably both, to be honest with you. Like, because we had some pretty weird interactions when we would do the brew bus in
Yeah,
Wilmington. The
yeah, I
short
bet.
bus that took you to brew. The drunker people got, the more they were, willing to ask you the dumb questions. But I never got anything like that. It was mainly like, uh, you know, just a stereotypical. I've been told I'm funny. What do you think?
Oh God, yeah. That's I. There is a very fine line between someone that comes up to you and they say, "I've always wanted to try comedy, but I just wouldn't know where to start."
Yeah,
And it's like a logical thing where they're
yeah.
like,
I just
and
love when they come up and be like, "Hey, listen to this joke real quick and tell me
yeah, like
what
my
you
friends all say I'm the
think."
funniest guy, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what?
What would you like to see the comedy special evolve into?
Well, I want the, I don't know. So I kind of want the pack to thin out
Of
in a
people that are
way.
doing them?
Yeah, and just like it's like I said, like I can tell audiences aren't stupid. There's a difference between feeding an algorithm and
Yeah.
selling out a
And
theater.
being funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're talking
Um,
about online comics first. I guess what you're
yeah, but also to your point, like, yeah, there's that too. But I don't really know. Like what I, I the Chris Rock thing was really interesting.
saying. Okay. Yeah. That was a do you see that catching on?
I don't I
You
don't
see
know.
people wanting to put out live specials?
I see the appeal to it
Mm-hmm.
because so when I worked on like Sound of Music and Peter Pan at NBC, what and it kind of lost the plot since then because they got new directors, they went new directions, whatever. But the initial idea and the reason the set was made the way it was is they were trying to bring live Broadway to an at-home audience who may never have the opportunity not just to go to and I bring Broadway in New York, not live Nashville Broadway.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be a whole different type of entertainment. But
I wish we
uh,
did have Broadway on Broadway.
that would be, oh my God, I don't
Yo, can we open this?
dude,
Dude,
Macbeth.
but like just really just southern twang it up, you know?
Yeah.
Like do southern Broadway on oh, dude, that's a gold mine. Someone's gonna make a lot of money off that.
Southern kinky boots.
You remember Southern Shakespeare?
That'd be fun. Southern Shakespeare would be very funny.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Um, but anyway, so the point I was making is like that was the idea was to try and get people to see it that might never have the opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
Sort of my point about Netflix was like that's what I liked about Netflix is so I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work because that's the same idea is exposing people to seeing it live for the first time. Because how many people? That's another thing is like I can't even count on how many people have come up to me and be like I've never seen live comedy before, whether that was at a bar show or a club. Like it's amazing how many people go, yeah, we're just in town and I've never seen live comedy before.
Yeah.
And it's just like we take it for granted because we've been seeing it for way too long, you know?
We've seen too
Uh,
much of it.
right. So I don't like hate the idea.
Of live comedy.
Um,
Yeah, I do too.
yeah, and I thought Chris Rock was a good experiment.
Yeah.
Like of all the guys to do it, he obviously he's been doing this forever. He's a massive fan base. You know, I wish that it was like Chris Rock pre-slap because I knew that was going to be a part of it.
I mean, I think he did a good job of waiting till the end. I think he didn't.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I
he
think
didn't.
he still could have burned him a little bit more, but I just was expecting late '90s Chris Rock, early 2000s Chris Rock. But
That's kind of what I meant. Is like I
yeah,
sort of wanted that because that was like doing it live is like I think what you want to see it.
yeah.
But at the same time, there's probably plenty of people that wanted to hear about slap. So you know, that's just
People were
I guess
waiting
my
for the
own personal
response at
opinion.
least, and
Yeah,
we knew
right.
this was his response. So
What do you want to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
I guess I just want it to, go back to meaning something,
Yeah,
special.
I like yeah, that's yeah.
And I'm not, like not if you feel like you're ready and you're putting out a special, then that's everyone's on their different timelines. I'm not
Right.
by any means saying people don't do what you're doing because I if anything in the way the comedy business is nowadays, you got to look out for yourself first and foremost. So if
Yeah.
you are ready to put it out by all means because it does help grow your fan base. It does help get you more numbers online. It does. It's a fun process. Like I'm very happy that I self-produced my first one because I got
Yeah.
to learn a lot. I don't think I'll ever self-produce another one unless that's where the industry heads, and I have to.
Right.
You got to always be adapting and changing. But I just wanted to. I really want. I mean, in a perfect world, Comedy Central would make a comeback and actually put comedy on their channel again. I
Or
think
something similar. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean HBO still has stayed steady with their specials. I would like to see, as Netflix, you don't want to see as many, but HBO, I'd like to see a couple more throughout the
Yeah, yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I would love half hours to come back. I would love the showcase style to come back. I know we're saturated on the internet with comedy, but I would like to see it come back to like other platforms.
Well, and that's a good point because like I guess and you edit a ton of videos and I edit a couple of videos, but you also sort of forget Epics, the channel has comedy specials now. And like a lot and like
And where do you
stars.
watch that at?
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? Like,
Yeah, like the guy I edit for, he had to do the free subscription just to like so we could record his special, like even that was tough. But a lot of those are trying to start dabbling in the showcase thing. So
yeah,
it's just what we sort of need is like for them to pick up and then that get on the like the bigger networks. Or God, just produce a YouTube showcase,
that'd be cool.
Like I'd be okay with that. Like a
Yeah,
half hour, five comics, done.
yeah.
We could do it. Well, that's the thing is there are some people trying to do that.
And that's why I'm not afraid. Afraid's not the right word, but I see this going into even more chaos than it already is. I think more people are going to throw their hats in the game, and I think more and more people are going to do it their way.
Mm.
And I just think, I'm afraid it's going to be like your favorite comic puts a special out, and you got to be like, where'd you put it at?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, what you got to buy a Zune to watch this? Like, I'm just afraid it's going to get even worse than it already is, and I do think the content will stay on our pages. It has to on the Instagram and Facebook. Very intrigued to see what happens to TikTok because I thought when this first started, I was like, "There's no way they're going to ban TikTok."
Now you're like,
But
oh, they're
if
really
I
trying
know
to ban
anything in
us.
2023, the government do not underestimate them. They will do whatever they want to. So
Yeah. I
I'm very intrigued to see what happens with that because I think that's going to be a big question answer on the future of clips and content and even specials.
I think and I'm saying this as someone who's not a big YouTuber. Like I know a lot of friends and people that just they want to sit and they'll sit and just watch YouTube for hours,
Yeah,
right? Or that'll be like their pre-game to go into the bar or whatever it is.
yeah,
I've never
people do
really,
watch YouTube.
yeah. And I think of all the platforms, YouTube's been the one adapting the most.
It's been the most consistent. I feel like
Yeah.
Because now you're
And
seeing a lot of big comics were reluctant to put their hours on YouTube,
because what it felt
holding
like,
out
right?
for that better option.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing people just making them for the sole
For
premise of
YouTube.
putting them on YouTube.
Yeah, and so I guess that was so that's what I sort of think. I think YouTube is going to sort of be this. Sure, you can go see it on some made up app that doesn't exist right now, or Roku, whatever it is. You can go see it on something, but it's always going to be on YouTube too. And it's like the other ones might pay you, but the YouTube's like where everyone can see it. So I
But
think
YouTube's also where if it goes well enough, you can make your own money off of it.
right. But I just think I don't think I've ever heard of anyone being like, oh, I can't put it on YouTube because of this deal or this,
Yeah.
like I feel like most people you work with are like, oh yeah, we'll produce it, but yeah, sure, put it on YouTube if you want to.
And I mean, you're even seeing, like now you got the comics battling whoever put out their special years ago. Because now you
Yeah.
got Comedy Central re-releasing these specials on their YouTube channel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And now, now those artists aren't getting compensated for that.
What, artists not getting compensated for their work? True, that doesn't happen.
But I mean, now it's that argument of, well, we own the rights to this, and the
Yeah.
artist being like, you own the TV rights. Now we got to negotiate other rights because that wasn't around or an option when we first did this contract.
So this is why. So I'm not going to spoil anything, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do have an opportunity to use a distributor to get my special out when the time comes. And I asked them, they've already sent me a contract. It's a standard contract they use. The first thing I did was I sent it to a lawyer because I was like, there's no way I am smart enough to know what this says.
They use
And
words that you don't know. Yeah.
and they did have enough. What I was told is like they did have enough stuff in there that it was like I could protect myself. I still own the rights. I can break the contract after a year. I'm not going to get a call from them 6 years from now and being like, hey, by the way, we're going to make $1 billion off this and you're not making shit,
Yeah.
But I do think that's one thing that like, and I know up until recently, I wouldn't have thought about it, but like young comics, musicians, artists in general, like need to learn how to protect themselves. And even if it's like your best friend handing you a contract, just you gotta have someone look at it and also just get everything in writing. That was one thing I didn't get freelance contracts from my DP and from the audio guy. So technically they can do whatever they want with the footage. I trust them, but that is something I might have to go back and have them sign because it's like,
like
and
when you pay them, they sign over the rights to you.
Right. And so and they're both already paid, so I'm not too worried about it. But and at the same time, it is kind of like, well, is that just like free exposure?
Yeah.
But if they're making money off it, then it's like, well, now we're talking. We go back to the good old days of comedy of like we're working for exposure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing to think about too is when people start putting out these some places you put out these albums, you put them out and you're not going to make any money off of it.
Oh yeah,
you're just getting your name out there because the age old saying is you make your first special to sell your second one. You don't make any money off your first one.
Yeah.
So I think that because I mean that even could go for you build your YouTube base off of your first one so that when your second one hits, you're monetized.
It's already there.
And now you can actually make money off of it.
Yeah, that's true. And it is this funny thing where it's like, I mean, yeah, just producing a special in general. I mean, sure, if you're picked up by Netflix, they're paying for everything, right?
Yeah.
And
but
there
are they doing that? I feel like they're doing that less and less now.
Well, yeah, I'm talking more about like at the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or if they're saying like, hey, here's $40 million and then it's all ours, you're still walking with 40 million. So I don't really care what you do with it.
Right.
They could never release it and I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I don't think people realize like you do like sort of have to, you're basically just making an investment in yourself,
mm-hmm.
And you're saying, all right, well, I feel confident enough that people are going to enjoy this. It's going to get me the audience that I want to get in front of. It's going to get me in front of the people I want to get in front of. And hopefully this time, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever it is, we're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Or maybe 6 months from now. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. That's too optimistic, but yeah.
Betting on yourself.
Look at that little optimism there at the end. How'd you like that, Drew?
Dude, I don't even know who you are anymore.
Almost optimistic.
Yeah. So what like dream world, what happens with your special?
I make $1 million
$1 million.
and I blow it in 6 months. Let's see.
I was about to say
Well,
you and money don't mix, man.
yeah, me and money are not great. I have to send an email out after this.
Yeah.
More money talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, I would a couple things. So I'm trying to get my thoughts in order because that's
No,
a
you're
really
good.
good that's because it's a really
Yeah.
good question and it's
Yeah.
things I've been thinking about, but it's a lot of different things.
No, I got you.
So like on like at a comics level, as someone who I do pretty well on the road in terms of like booking myself and everything,
Mm-hmm.
I would like this to help me get a little bit better gigs more consistently
Okay.
because I do get good gigs, but I feel like it's like one of every 4 or 5 is a good gig. You know what I mean?
That's rough, dude.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's things like I'm
Operating
not
on
complaining,
25% is brutal.
right? And I'm not complaining about any show I've done. Like I've had like and by good gig I mean like paying, like like
Okay,
a well
money
paying
wise.
gig.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
talking
You have
about like
fun. It's just
yeah. Like I'll go up and I'll do a show for 10 people in Louisville and have a blast.
yeah.
That's not what I'm worried about. It's more about like, okay, well, if I do that on a Thursday, I want to make sure Friday, Saturday pay a bit better.
Yeah.
And that is starting to happen more and more frequently. So
That's
I'm
good.
starting to move more into like the 1 in every 3 category, which is great.
Okay. All right.
I'm hoping this kind of gets me to like the consistently 1 in every 3, 1 in every 2. Um,
Okay.
that's what I would like.
All right.
I would like it to, obviously I would like more subscribers and more followers because that also adds to that.
Yeah.
And one thing that was cool, I did have some industry folk at the taping and they really enjoyed it. I don't know if that leads to anything, but it would be nice to show them that product and see where that conversation goes. So because again, I'm pretty good at managing myself, but it would be nice if someone else was doing it.
We always take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if
So
you
yeah,
need it, a lot
yeah,
of
that's what
people think they need one and they don't.
I know. Well, that's the thing is like at the moment, I really don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's more of it. Like I would just like it to, again, making an investment in myself to, you know, support myself better later on.
Yeah. Just safe to say you want to be in a better spot after than you were before.
Yeah, and I sort of wanted to just bring in because one thing and you do the same thing when a guy not a guy when an audience member sees you for the first time uh they tend to be like, oh, I want to follow this guy for a while. And so I get that a lot. So it's a lot like I would like to expand that,
Okay.
so someone that I can't go perform in front of live, they can just go watch it and find it and go, oh, I love this guy. Like the
Yeah.
water tower, the thing you're telling me about when you're doing the water tower joke. And the guy was like, oh, it's the water tower.
Yeah.
Like
Doing
that.
the
Like I would like
content.
that
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, that.
That's good. Okay. No, I hear you, man. That's awesome.
What do we got coming down the road for you, Drew?
Oh man, this Friday I'm at do a comedy show here in Nashville. I think Mariana Barksdale is hosting that, so I'm excited about that. Sunday I'm at City Winery here in Nashville with Jay McNutt's Inevitable Entertainment. Love his shows. He puts
Very
on
funny.
great shows.
Yeah.
Then next Thursday, 420, the holiday of my people, I will
Oh,
be in
boy.
Charlotte, headlining a 420 show in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then that weekend, I am at the Richmond Funny Bone in Virginia with Dusty Slay.
Hey, in the Funny Bone. That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Which will be fun.
Yep. An epic comedy hour to end the month. So I'm excited.
Man, you have a great April.
Got a good, yeah. It's already been great. I was at Comedy Catch this past week, Dead Crow the
Yeah.
weekend before that. So
Yeah.
it's been a good spring start
It
to the
has
spring.
it has been so far.
Yeah. What you
Yeah.
got?
This, you know what? I actually got a pretty good April too. I'm not gonna lie. This Friday, I will be headlining at the Brick Room in Noblesville, Indiana. Then I'm doing Don't Tell, Indiana on Saturday.
Nice.
And then
nice.
I'm doing Black Circle on Sunday, which you did
Sunday
recently.
show. Shout
Sunday
out to
show. It's
Alex.
gonna be great. Always good. Thank you, Alex Price, for that spot.
Yeah.
Then the following week, this is gonna be a fun one, and we're gonna have some stories from the following week. I'm going up to Columbus to do Don't Tell. First time performing in Columbus, what I'm pretty excited about. Friday, the 21st, I will be at Doggy's Pub at State College performing for Family Weekend and
Ooh.
my brother Kevin's fraternity
Oh,
2 weeks before they graduate
ooh.
from Penn State.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that next time out. For
Daddy's
sure.
gonna have a fun Friday in State College.
Oh no.
Sister's coming up. It's gonna be a good time. My parents are coming up. It's gonna be great.
Awesome.
Then I'm gonna be headlining in York, PA on the 22nd at Snitz Brewing, I think it's called.
Okay.
Then that Sunday, check my Instagram. I'll either be in Baltimore or Frederick, or I'll be driving home. I don't know. I have 2 shows up in the air. I don't know which one's gonna stick.
Nice.
And then I come back here, and then on the 30th, I will be at Cafe Coco. I'll be hosting Brendan Gerald's show. It's got a good little lineup. Should be a good time.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. As always, hit us up on the internet. Tell us how you liked the episode. Hit that subscribe button and check out the great Project Nerd content out there. And we will see you next time.
Did Project Nerd make that?